Hey everybody, happy Friday and welcome to the all-new Fanatic Forum as part of the Back of the Cereal Box Network. I'm ecstatic. The Louisville, Kentucky area, there is a bit of a horse race this weekend here that's, fairly popular, right? Okay. But there also happens to be two things for us geeks to celebrate. One, the release of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which was excellent. We'll get to that in just a second. And also, most importantly, tomorrow is a special holiday for all of us geeks. It's Free Comic Book Day. So that means you need to get yourself to your nearest local store, which there are many around the country. If you don't know where your comic book store is, the easiest way to find out is just get on Google and comic shop locator or comic book stores near me, and they will certainly help you out there. But yeah, if you're in the Kentuckiana area here, you're doing pretty good. And of course, if you're in Elizabethtown, of course, where I am, we are blessed to have two stores. And then right next door in Radcliffe, we've got a store there. So yeah, all kinds of stuff to be happy about. So yeah, very exciting. But of course, on Free Comic Book Day, there are actually special books. If you can't just go in there and get an Amazing Fantasy 15 for free. Now, there are special books that each publisher puts out. Like Marvel's got stuff, DC, and then most of the independents have stuff out there. A lot of times it's like previews of stuff to come, or sometimes, especially the independents will actually reprint their first issues of certain books to say, hey, check this one out, sort of thing. It's, something maybe that started recently or whatever else. So yeah, that's pretty fun there. But yeah, so of course, most other stores will have special deals and everything too. So yeah, again, it's a day to celebrate. So go to your local comic shop and get yourself some wonderful free comics. And of course, get some other stuff too. So, let's see here. But before we get started with the proper show, I got to share a little something with you guys here right after this. Woo! Oh, that's my favorite song. Yeah, the official debut of the intro to the Fanatic Forum here. And I'd like to thank my friends Jared Halal, who did all the editing and the graphics work there, put that all together, and my friend Dr. Joseph Dangerfield for the wonderful music for me. So thank you guys very much for your work on that, and I'm very happy to see that debut. So there you go. Yeah. So if you're new to the Fanatic Forum here, we talk about comic books each week. We talk about movies that I'm into, TV shows we're watching. I'm a big wrestling fan, so we talk about wrestling from time to time as well. So tonight was pretty interesting because we had Rampage on way earlier than it normally is. Normally, AEW Rampage airs at 10 p.m., and we had it at 5:30 p.m., so good show tonight. Lots of fun matches there. Jam-packed show, too. They know how to pack in an hour's worth of content, let me tell you. But yeah, so I'm a big AEW fan. Of course, I grew up watching WWE and NWA, WCW, all that kind of stuff. So we will definitely talk wrestling from time to time. But of course, yeah, I've been a comic book reader for 43 years now. So yeah, that's kind of really where I learned to read and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, so that's the most important thing we'll be talking about today. So so just a little bit about the show here if you've never watched before. And if you haven't, welcome to the forum here. We certainly welcome any comments and suggestions and topics and whatnot. So because I love to just get off topic from time to time. I may have a plan for what we're going to talk about, and today we're talking new comics, we're talking the Moon Knight finale, and I will give you a spoiler-free review for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because I know some people may have seen it already, some may have not, and I'm definitely going to respect the ones who have not. So a 100% spoiler free. Of course, if you don't want to know anything about it, I will definitely let you know when we're going to start talking about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And so there you go. So, but yeah, let's get to some comments here first off. Well, first off, I got to debut the boss here. So John Pica, who is the head of the Back of the Cereal Box here, welcoming me. Thank you very much. Watching from downtown Nashville. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, and also, comicshoplocator.com, we were talking about earlier. Thank you, John, for that. Brian Wensloff, I hope I got your name right there, says you love Free Comic Book Day. Yes. It is certainly a day to celebrate for all of us geeks here. So, yes, we have a wonderful weekend to celebrate here. Let me tell you. All right. So, hey, Ryan, good to see you, sir. And thank you very much. Let's see here. Ryan Permisson. Ryan's show, we need to start talking about together, Ryan, because as an old comic fan and to a new comic fan, so, yeah, I think we would have lots to share, lots of interesting topics to discuss here. So, yeah, I love talking to comic book fans, old and new, because, especially the old fans, we get to make references that people do not understand whatsoever. Hence, my shirt that I'm wearing right now. But then also, newer fans or people who, got into comics from the movies, it's welcome to the fold. I love having you here because, like I said, I'm a geek. I'm going to talk comics all the time. So, yeah. Love talking about it and sharing things, whatnot. So, yeah, it is always, as always, my favorite topic ever. Brian, we were talking wrestling earlier. Hook and Danhausen is best for business. Yes. I recently got into Danhausen, and just mostly through being on AEW and just kind of getting into his stuff on YouTube, whatever else. I am a huge mark for Danhausen. If you don't know who Danhausen is, if you're not much into wrestling, he describes his character as the Mark Hamill Joker meets Conan O'Brien, somewhere along that line. I get that too. He also kind of reminds me of like a lot of the old movie hosts, when they do like the late shows, whatnot. So yeah, he kind of reminds me a little bit of that as well. But he's supposed to be spooky, but he's a funny guy. But it's that way on purpose. I can't get enough of Danhausen. So I'm so glad that he's getting himself a really good platform to showcase who he is. I'm hoping he's back off the injury, seeing as he looks like he got booked for a match next week. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I'm with you, Brian. Hook and Danhausen is certainly best for business here. Ryan Green's from Maryland. Wow. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. So Danhausen is actually good. I keep hearing that Danhausen, that he can really go when he needs to. I mean, I didn't think Orange Cassidy could go, and then he's really shown his stuff in AEW. So, see, I like that. We'll definitely get to talk more. John's saying that we'll be on the Back of the Cereal Box talking Mighty Orbots tomorrow. Ah, nice. Yes, yeah. So yeah, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Tune into Back of the Cereal Box podcast there. And we'll be talking Mighty Orbots, and I'm sure we're talking all kinds of stuff there. Now, I'm new to the Mighty Orbots thing. I vaguely remember the intro to this Saturday morning cartoon show, which is basically a Japanese anime. So, yeah, so basically lots of fun stuff. I get to talk geek a lot this weekend because I got my show tonight, Back of the Cereal Box tomorrow morning. And then I'm over on Movie Meltdown with my buddy Brian Renfro recording a new episode. And we're talking Doctor Strange. And that one will definitely be heavy on the spoilers. So, yeah. But yeah, he'll post that whenever we do that. So, yeah, if you want a really good movie podcast where you get people just having a good time, having conversations about movies, Movie Meltdown. Check him out, moviemeltdown.com. And he does have a Patreon as well, where they specifically just talk about horror movies. That's the Meltdown Horror Club. So you can subscribe to that and contribute and all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah. And, of course, I'm on the regular Movie Meltdown quite often, talking all kinds of geek stuff. So, yeah. The Meltdown of Madness. Dave Mattingly. Good to see you, Mr. Dave. Yes, there's all kinds of melting down going on here. Let's see. Ryan says that, hang on here. Grew up during the later part of the Monday Night War era. Oh, cool. Yeah, actually, that was a really, really unique part of wrestling there. I basically, grew up definitely on 80s era WWF. Definitely like in the Louisville, Kentucky area, we would get Memphis Wrestling on Saturday mornings. So that was USWA, then it became CWA, and then Global Wrestling. It was a few things, but I always really remember it as USWA. But yeah, that was where like your Jerry Lawlers and Jeff Jarrett's and, Superstar Bill Dundee and the Fabulous Ones, all those kind of guys. But I also remember seeing a very young, mean Mark Callis debut, and his, this giant, like near 7-foot redheaded guy, and his, finisher was he walked the ropes and, came down, nailed some dude, yeah. And then about 6 months later, this Undertaker dude pops up, and I'm like, I know that guy. So yeah. That was a fun moment for me as a kid. Kind of like that little like mark. I was like, ooh, reality is connecting in weird ways. Oh, let's see. Brian says that they'd love to collaborate with you sometime. Oh, thank you, sir. I would enjoy collaborating with you as well. Yeah, I definitely I enjoy collaborating with all kinds of people here. I do all sorts of things. I do podcasts. I do a little bit of acting, all kinds of jazz. So, yeah. Let's see here. Hey, Drew versus the World podcast. Good to see you, sir. Welcome to the show. All right. We got ourselves an ECW fan. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. And it always pains me to see like when they would talk about ECW and they still have to talk about like the revamped ECW. Like the one night stand they did was magic. We had all the old guys come back and whatnot. That was amazing. And then they did the second one night stand, which they should have called it something else. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, the old ECW. Yeah. I remember the very first time I saw like a tag match with RVD and Sabu versus Who Cares, because RVD and Sabu killed those guys, and RVD was doing some moves I had never seen before. Like he'd just do this like jumping spin kick into like a steel chair, and the other dude was holding the chair, and he'd get into the face. It was some amazing stuff. So yeah, yeah, woo, yeah. That was the old ECW is certainly great stuff here. So. Let's see. Oh, Dave's talking about Doctor Strange here. So, okay. Well, you know what? Thank you, Dave. We will segue into talking about Doctor Strange and in the Multiverse of Madness here. Because, like I said, we're going to do 100% spoiler-free. But, yes, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. There has been some talk where there's some people who are, maybe, a little, I don't know, they may be kind of a little confused by things or whatever else. I will warn you, of course, it says in the title, Multiverse of Madness. If you are kind of shy about the whole multiverse stuff and, alternate dimensions or whatever else, like you haven't watched Loki, you haven't watched What If, I highly suggest you do so. Maybe even if you've just seen Spider-Man No Way Home, that will help you there, because Spider-Man No Way Home kind of gives you like just a taste of the multiversal stuff. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness dunks you head first into the pool. So yeah, it gets kooky and crazy, but comic fans love this. I love this. Lots of great little Easter eggs for old school comic fans for Doctor Strange. Many cameos. There's lots of speculation on who it's going to be. Some are correct, some are not. But there are many cameos. And 2 post-credit scenes. There's one that's mid-credits after all the big fancy titles, and then one that's all the way at the end. Both are worth sticking around for. The first one is an important one. The second one is more amusing. But yeah. Staying away from spoilery stuff, let's talk more about the structure of the movie. This is 100% a Sam Raimi movie. And it's so welcome to see it. I mean, a lot of the Marvel movies don't really have a lot of like personal identity for their directors. It usually gets like, you get a little bit of style, but they're mostly for the story itself. And this is 100% a Sam Raimi movie. If you've seen Army of Darkness, you've seen any of the Evil Dead movies, Drag Me to Hell, any of his horror stuff, this is all Sam, and it's gorgeous. Well shot. The Danny Elfman score just makes it even better. So this is Sam with a really, really big budget doing one of his classic horror movies. So yeah, lots of fun there. So good. So yeah, definitely want to check that one out. So let's see here. Brian's got a comment here. Let's see. Strongly predict that San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel will announce that John Watts directs X-Men and Krasinski will direct Fantastic Four. Interesting, because that of course brings up that Fantastic Four has lost John Watts as their director, which it wasn't entirely surprising because right after No Way Home came out, John Watts talked about, I want a break, I want to take away, from these superhero movies, yada yada, and then. Like I said last week, Marvel's like, no, we need Fantastic Four right now, please. Thank you very much. Get to work right now. Just go do it. We have a logo. We have a poster. We're starting to cast. Let's go. And alas, he ended up, backing out of it. But yes, that would be a very interesting directorial choice there for Fantastic Four. I do like that. Krasinski's The Quiet Place movies are awesome. And I was really kind of concerned how the sequel was going to go, but the second one's very good. So, I could see Krasinski doing Fantastic Four as a director. Yeah. I like that. So, John, okay, let's see what you got to say here. He saw Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness last night. Definitely need to see it again because right now my opinion is that the movie is that it's there. Okay, not as big of a fan. Okay. I wonder, is it because, more of you you're more like the, not as much of the horror fan or not as much of the fan of the content or, I'll be curious to see what your second opinion is. Actually, I'm going to see it a second time tomorrow because I saw it yesterday afternoon, which really weird that you could sneak preview a movie in the afternoon. I'm still getting over that, but I saw it in the afternoon, and then I'm going to see it tomorrow, taking my wife and my sister and her family. So and of course my nephew, who's basically my shadow, Harrison. He and I were just we're tight on the Marvel stuff. So we're basically, he is my clone, even though I, don't have children of my own. So I didn't need to because my sister did it for me. Thank you very much, Jeff. Definitely looking forward to seeing it a second time. There was a couple things I found that I missed, so I'm going to be looking for those fun little Easter eggs in there. But and definitely there's lots of Sam Raimi Easter eggs as well. So if you're familiar with what I'm talking about there, you'll be pleasantly surprised. So like I said, just loved it, absolutely loved it. So okay. One thing I realized last week that I did not get to share with you guys, I even teased it, and I'm going to take, I'm going to make good on this now. So we asked the eternal question last week of what's in the box. So I've been waiting 10 long months for this thing, but it finally came in. My Conan to get all the glare off here. My Conan the Barbarian Ultimates here from the war paint version here. So get a close up there. It looks very much like Arnold. I'm always really impressed with that. But lots of blood on him and the sword and everything else, and multiple heads, multiple arms, whatever else. So but I've been waiting for a very long time for this to come out because I pre-ordered it and it's finally here. And I'm a huge Conan fan, so. That's very much was enjoying looking for that. I want to share with you guys, but we had so much to talk about last week. Of course, I was talking last week about CW cancellations. Found out that, of course, we talked on the show about Batwoman being canceled. And then right after the show ended, we found out that Legends of Tomorrow has now bowed out as well. So, it's unfortunate. I tuned out a couple of seasons ago because it got a little too kooky for me, but there were plenty of other fans who really enjoyed the show, really enjoyed the kooky nature of it, and are definitely sad to see it go. And especially, too, they left it on a cliffhanger, so that's unfortunate. So hopefully maybe one day some of that will get resolved somewhere. there. So let's see. Let's do some more comments here. Let's see here. Okay. What is good in life? What is best in life, George? That would be the to crush your enemies before you. Something there to hear the lamentations of the women, and I don't know. I'm not a barbarian. That's too cold for me. The North. I'll be a Southern barbarian. Let's see here. Brian's got a comment about Doctor Strange here. Been a Sam Raimi fan since Evil Dead 2, so I know what it's like to expect his style of directing. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. He was perfect for this movie. I kind of wish he did the first Doctor Strange. Scott Derrickson did a fine job of the film, but yeah, I kind of wish that, I kind of wish that he was did a little more here. So let's see here. Let's see, talking about Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, it did. 7 seasons is pretty good. Of course, Flash is working on 8 currently, and we know that next season 9 will be the final season for that one. I'm still waiting to hear about Stargirl. I really enjoy Stargirl. Season 2 was fantastic. Of course, they include more of the JSA, Jay Garrick being played by John Wesley Shipp, so kind of him doing double duty. That was pretty cool. But yeah, that was nice to see him back. But the way they handled Eclipso on the show, and Eclipso is a cool villain. You don't want to screw him up because he's nice and spooky. He's got mystical powers. And a little homicidal as well. So I'm fingers crossed that Stargirl survives. We've heard more shows, being revived. So, but yeah, I'm having my fingers crossed there. For Stargirl. So, all right. So let's talk about some new comics here. Before we talk Moon Knight finale, let's do some new comics because I got a lot of good stuff to show you guys here. So, all right, here. First off, let's talk the independents because I only have one independent this time around. Let's see here. Right now, we've got the seventh issue of Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. Talked about the first issue several months ago. Really still enjoying this book. It's kind of a true crime book. The whole premise is basically our protagonist has infiltrated this group of hitmen, basically, who operate kind of on the dark web. They, you sign on, you get to pick your jobs, that sort of thing like that. It's almost kind of like DoorDash for hitmen or something like that. But yeah, they do their thing there. So this guy somehow has infiltrated this group and really gotten in way over his head because he's essentially attracted the attention of a homicidal maniac who is also a part of this group. And so you don't want to do that. The really cool thing I love about this, and of course, Rick Remender is the writer on here. I absolutely love Rick's writing. He's really good when it comes to weird science stuff. He's good when it comes to crime fiction. He's all over the place. Of course, I loved his Iron Fist run too. That was awesome as well. But anyway, the thing about this book, it's a lot of fun, is the cliffhangers, and they're almost cliffhangers that make you mad because, like, literally in this one, our protagonist is opening a door. Well, on the other side of that door is like one of two things: one's good and one is bad. And I won't spoil anything because you need to read the book, but it makes you mad. It's like, no, what's going to happen? And so really good on the suspense thing here with the cliffhangers. But yeah, it's, like I said, it angers me sometimes. But yeah, so that's the fun of the book, though. All right, here for DC, we got basically some Batman to talk about. Shocker. But this is the one book I'm really excited about here, Flashpoint Beyond. Absolutely loved Flashpoint, the original Flashpoint story, because it's probably one of the greatest, Flash stories of all time. But what came of Flashpoint was Thomas Wayne Batman right there. Yes, very sinister looking fellow there. Not at all like his son. He takes up the mantle of Batman after basically, in his world, Bruce is the one that dies. And spoiler alert, Thomas becomes Batman. Martha becomes the Joker, which is my favorite twist in the whole thing there. Of course, this is an old story here, so if you haven't read it, I'm sorry for the spoiler there, but old story. Anyway, but the premise for this one is essentially that Thomas essentially was, though the Flashpoint universe was destroyed, he was plucked from it by Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash. That was a whole thing there in the old Batman books, but then somehow, basically, Thomas has ended up back in the Flashpoint universe, thinking it was thoroughly destroyed. How is he back here? Why is this universe existing when it shouldn't? And why is he the only one that remembers? Last time it was Barry that knew everything was wrong. Now Thomas remembers everything that's right, and no one else does. So, yeah. And of course, lots of like big world-ending stakes on here because, if you remember, the Atlanteans were at war with the Themyscirans. They still are. And that's a fierce war. So we get some of the repercussions of that war are actually dealt with in this book here. So there was a 0 issue that also kind of kicked off the 6-issue miniseries. But yeah, definitely worth checking out there. Highly, highly recommend that one there. Let's see here. Dave says, Thomas Wayne is not a nice doctor. No, he's not. He is a doctor. Technically, yes. But I don't think he follows the Hippocratic Oath whatsoever. I mean, he heals some people, like his friends and employees and other, criminals that he associates with. But for a guy who's supposed to be like fighting crime, he also does a really good job of like accentuating crime as well. And also, he does not have the compulsion against guns that Bruce does. So Thomas is thoroughly fine with killing his own people, villains and whatever else. He doesn't want to play the games like Bruce does. So yeah, he's still a fascinating character, but he's not one you'd want to like have a drink with, or go to a barbecue. He's not a good fellow there. So let's see here. Brian's got a good question here. Getting off topic, and I like doing that. Thoughts on Discovery Plus and HBO Max merging next year? Also thoughts on AEW signing with HBO Max? Well, yeah, I know they've got everybody's kind of really talking about the whole Discovery and HBO Max merger. Basically, just Warner, and I think Warner Media bought Discovery Plus, so that's how it goes. I know there's already been a lot of cuts in certain areas of Warner Media and certain areas of Discovery. I don't like job cuts, period, when it comes to anything. I certainly don't like it when it comes to DC Comics, and right now DC Comics is actually in a lot of danger. I don't think DC is ever going to give up Batman. So I think in 20 years, we'll still be reading Batman comic books. They still might be published by DC. I don't know. As for like Superman, Green Arrow, Wonder Woman, who knows? If they start making money at the box office, then maybe Warner will care more. But I don't know. It's a rough situation. It's a lot rougher than what Marvel has to deal with being owned by Disney now. It seems like Disney respects the property and lets them do their thing, and Marvel's publishing lots of books and having lots of success with things. So everything seems to be kosher over there for the most part. But yeah, DC, like right now, like there is no physical offices at DC Comics. Like the office people, the few that are still there, have like one of those like shared offices. Like you go to like a building where everybody can have like an office, something like they rent one of those things. And most of the artists and writers work from home or work they turn everything in digitally. That's how we can do that now. But yeah, it's really kind of a sad state of affairs with like you can't like tour DC Comics anymore. Doesn't exist. So as for AEW signing with HBO Max, really hope that happens because the only reason I still have cable is for TBS and TNT because they're not available with the exception like on Hulu, I think. So if AEW gets all their stuff over on HBO Max, I'm already on HBO Max anyway, so that'd be killer. Yeah, I'd absolutely love that. So, and of course, they would give a lot more coverage to their programming there. So, all right, let's see. Brian actually wants to fix Warner Media since they bought it. Okay. Well, I know there's been a lot of talk that, especially with like the movie side of things for DC, they're like, hey, we want to bring Superman back to prominence. We've been, getting a lot of, love to Batman, and we tried with the Justice League and all that kind of stuff, but, we're not doing the Snyder thing anymore. So, yeah, we want to do, more, we want to give all of our other characters more prominence as well. But like they really mentioned, like bring Superman back. So they could do that now. I think if they really wanted to, we've already talked about having the Calvin Johnson Superman, basically the Black Superman, but I call him President Superman because that's his name. I really would like maybe that movie because, hey, you want to have like a new kind of flavor of Superman. You want to give hope to generations. So maybe not use a white guy anymore. Is it important for his skin color? Not to the story, but to other people who want to see themselves on the big screen. That'd be kind of cool. So, yeah, why not? And if Michael B. Jordan's going to play him, it's not a bad cast. That's not a bad cast. I like that guy. So, yeah, let's see what they can do. So, Brian wants to give Henry Cable another go. I liked Henry. He wasn't. I grew up on Christopher Reeve, so. To me, Brandon Routh did a nice imitation. That whole shuttle scene of him, shaving the shuttle at the beginning of the movie was really cool. The rest of the movie was not, in my opinion. But Christopher Reeve was my Superman, so it's kind of hard to top that. Cable was good. I like him as The Witcher better. So, all right, back to comics now. See, I like this is fun. We get to talk more stuff and get to be thoroughly off topic. All right. Batman Killing Time. This has been a lot of fun here. This is a Tom King miniseries, 6-issue miniseries, kind of taking place in early career for everybody here. But basically the whole premise is that Penguin, Catwoman, and the Riddler try to pull off the perfect heist, but then Catwoman and the Riddler double-cross the Penguin. So what does the Penguin do? He sends the Help after them. Now, the Help is a new villain. Nothing is known about this guy whatsoever. He reveals more in this issue about himself than we've ever heard. But he is quite the martial artist to the point that he recognizes all of Bruce's moves. Like, oh, that's a Descartes. That's a Ra's al Ghul. Oh, little Ted Grant there. That's a nice one. So it's like he knows all these guys because he's either trained them or fought them or beat them. Round one does not go well for Bruce, but this is only halfway through, so we'll see a little bit more. But yeah, as a new villain here, this is worth picking up because you get the whole miniseries because it's really kind of fun. But it definitely kind of plays with time and the whole heist thing, and not like a timey-wimey kind of thing, but like the time kind of keeps jumping around and everything like that. But yeah, a really cool Tom King mini. But yeah, a very interesting villain here. If you thought Deathstroke was a formidable villain for Bruce, you ain't got nothing on this guy. Dave says, the Help sounds like he might have a bit of Taskmaster in him. It almost kind of came off that way, Dave. It really did. Good, nice come out there. Yeah, it kind of like he maybe is sort of a Taskmaster kind of guy. Like he maybe trained all these cats, but I can't imagine that anybody would. I guess Henry Dugard could be trained or whatnot, but yeah, Ra's al Ghul. Geez, that's going back a bit. But this guy claims to be pretty old too. But again, also homicidal. So. All right, moving on to Star Wars, and seeing it's Star Wars week, we have 2 Star Wars books to talk about, and they're both worth checking out here. First issue of the Obi-Wan Mini-Series, and this, of course, right before the Disney Plus series is going to start. But yes, this is definitely worth checking out. The thing I loved about Jason Aaron's run on his run of Star Wars was the occasional issue where Luke would delve into Obi-Wan's journals. You got some really cool, just like self-contained stories that were just a lot of fun, getting a little bit of background on what Obi-Wan was doing while he was on Tatooine, supposedly looking, keeping an eye out for Luke. This kind of like whole mini-series is more of that. You basically get 6 issues of that stuff. So first issue of this, very cool, definitely worth checking it out. Over in the core Star Wars books, we're still right now in the Crimson Reign storyline, kind of the in-between the War of the Bounty Hunters and before we get to the Hidden Hand or Hidden Empire or whatever. There's another big story event coming in the summer. This is kind of the in-between sort of thing right now. But This particular issue, this is issue number 23. This one is really cool because, like, right now there's been kind of a storyline going on where Poe Dameron's parents have been trying to infiltrate the Star Destroyer called Tarkin's Will. The whole point of Tarkin's Will is that this Admiral Zahara character right here, she served under Tarkin and was able to escape the Death Star before it blew up. So everybody on this ship basically lost somebody in the Death Star explosion. So it's a really strange kind of dichotomy of, like, okay, we've never really kind of delved into much on the Imperial emotional side of things, of like their loss of the first Death Star. Well, there's a whole crew basically of people who are dealing with that stuff, even to the point where, like, there's like they've refused to, like, repair some damage to the ship because it reminds them of something, whatever else. But this is a particularly fun issue because you get to see some genius tactical stuff from Admiral Zahara. There's a big, if you love, like, your big dog fights and space battles and whatnot, you get one in this issue, but just some amazing yet cruel stuff that she does in this fight is just, yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan and you like your space stuff, even if you're not buying the whole thing, just get this issue because, yeah, just tons of fun. Next up on the docket here, Spider-Man 2099 Exodus Alpha. This is a new miniseries bringing back the Spider-Man 2099 characters, of course, including Mr. Ghost Rider as well, as in this issue. This is a self-contained miniseries, so you don't have to go buying any of their stuff. There's a alpha issue, then there are, I think, 5 issues in the miniseries. Yes, 5 issues in the miniseries, and then it wraps up with an Omega issue. So you don't have to go buying 100 other Spider-Man books or anything like that, or other miniseries. It's all just right in here. So this is the first issue of this, just came out this week. But the whole plot of this is basically there was a piece of a celestial that there was like an entire city was built in. It crashed into a part of Nueva York, and it basically holds like some sort of element of unimaginable power. And so everybody's going after it. So, of course, you've got our boy here and, basically the whole, Cabal network and everything else. So if you're a fan of the whole 2099 stuff, this is definitely like a nice, come back to that. Steve Orlando is the writer on this one here. So you get some good writing as well, kind of, bringing everything in and checking it out. So let's see here. Oh, hang on here. John's got a couple recommendations. Didn't see him on the list. Check out Twig. Yes. If you're a Scotty Young fan, Twig is his brand new book. So I'm not the biggest Scotty Young fan. It's nothing against him. He's not my style, but lots of other people love Scotty. So he's got a new book out there. Little Monsters. I'm not familiar with that one there. And yes, Godzilla versus Power Rangers. I don't read that one, but I know a buddy who does. And basically he was concerned, like, are we actually going to see like Godzilla fight the Power Rangers? Like we want Mechazords, or the big robots versus Godzilla. This is a good kaiju versus kaiju book. So, yes, if you're definitely into the Godzilla Power Rangers, stuff like that, definitely want to check that one out there. So, thank you, John. Appreciate that. Let's see. A couple other Marvel books to talk about. And since we were just talking about Steve Orlando, might as well bring this one up as well here. So, X-Men Warpath, the one shot here. If you're reading X-Men books, John Proudstar has been finally brought back from the living. Or brought back from the dead. He's, been dead for 40 years, but now the X-Men have this capability of bringing back their dead ones because they've kind of got like this whole like DNA soup essentially of every mutant who's died, except for a couple notable exceptions. We're going to read the book, who. But yeah, for some reason they hadn't brought John back, and so finally John gets brought back, and so now he's dealing with, who he is, where his place is in the world, what he's going to do in it, being, Native American, being a mutant, and whatever else. So he gets to go back to his old reservation, which there's, things have changed in the years he's been gone. Of course, not all of them good. But the fun thing about this book is that, of course, Steve Orlando was one of the writers on there. But also, if you notice that right there, here we go, co-written by Nyla Rose from AEW. So, which, of course, she herself is a First Nation, or she's Native American as well. So I don't want to massacre her nationality. So I'll just say it safely there. She's also Native American as well. So really cool that she gets to contribute to this book as well. So I'm a big Warpath fan anyway. But it was also kind of fun. Like, hey, I'm a Nyla Rose fan as well. So it was it was neat to post. But so a nice one shot, kind of kicking off where John's going to go from here. So, yeah, if you're not necessarily reading all what's going on in the X-Men books, but you're an old school fan, you kind of want to, visit with an old friend, you can do that. Last but not least, got to talk about the Iron Man book here. And I haven't been talking about this book. I don't know why. I've been reading it since it came out, but this has been a really cool run on Iron Man because this is after all the Iron Man 2020 stuff. And so he's really kind of wanted to focus on being like lower tech. Like he's got an old suit. It's not connected to the internet. He tries to isolate himself a little bit more. Well, then comes along Mr. Michael Korvac. And so bringing up a lot of, cosmic big problems. So Tony ends up kind of getting this like ragtag band of misfits that includes, of course, most, notably Hellcat, but you've also got like Misty Knights in there, Gargoyle from the Defenders, and Frogman. Yes, because every great superhero team needs Frogman. But anyway, this particular issue is really good because this kind of wraps up the whole conflict between Tony and Korvac with what's been going on. But it gets really kind of personal because Tony's been seriously injured before he got cosmic abilities temporarily. And so because of his injuries, he's basically been treating himself with morphine. Now that he's relieved himself of his cosmic abilities, he now has to deal with the fact that he's basically has become an addict for morphine. So, of course, him, dealing with his alcoholism for, many, many years, that's been an issue itself. But then now he's got this new addiction he's got to worry about. So I love the way this issue ends. Of course, it also has a thing in there if you have, so you reach out for substance abuse or reach out with mental illness. It has some numbers in the back for you to, check out and get some help if you need it. So, it ends with a great message of hope and healing. But yeah, just kind of like the whole Christopher Cantwell run right now in Iron Man. Like we're only in 19 issues right now. But yeah, just been a really interesting run. If you kind of like, if you like your kind of core characters being taken out of their usual, spaces and done something a little more creative with your characters, that's been a fun run. So yeah, really enjoy that there. All right. So let's talk Moon Knight now, shall we? Before we wrap things up here, got to talk about that Moon Knight finale because it was killer. The director had promised lots of action in this, and it certainly did not disappoint. Definitely all the action was in this episode, I think, but lots of fun in this one. Of course, we get to see a brand new superhero to the MCU, and Lila has officially been dubbed the Scarlet Scarab. So there is a Scarlet Scarab in the Marvel Comics, though it makes more sense that she's called the Scarlet Scarab because she has some abilities that come from a scarab, and she wears red. Lila, no red, no scarabs. So I would have gone to like the heroic hippo maybe or something like that, But yeah, either way, I love that basically, she is the avatar now for the hippo goddess. So it's such a wonderful relationship from there than what we have with Mark and Stephen and Khonshu. So yeah, just wonderful two different sides of things there. But yeah, so of course we get our big fights there. We get Mark and Stephen coming back from the dead and fighting with Arthur. And I love the whole kind of the breaking of the fake reality, and we see like Arthur's trailing blood or something like that, with his footprints and everything. That was very cool. Really enjoyed that whole thing there. But we get to everything. We kind of wrap all the stuff up there. So, Mark and Steven seem to be in good Congress together here. And, we're free of Khonshu and whatever else. And we get to that cutscene. We finally get the debut we've been waiting for. Jake Lockley. Oh, and it just the treatment of Jake in this and how they worked him into it, I absolutely love. Basically, he's an avatar within an avatar. So Khonshu knew how troubled Mark was. I mean, he literally said it right there at the end. Knows what's going on with his mental state and took complete advantage of that by making an own persona that was loyal to him that Mark and Steven do not know about. Oh, I love it. Of course, he's got himself, the accent. He's playing some Frank Sinatra. Totally does the hit, killing Arthur. Oh, yeah. Just very, 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 very happy about that one. Couldn't be. I just enjoy that. And of course, a lot of people have been talking about, there's not a second season planned or whatnot. I think Marvel has kind of got a strategy about some of their shows, that there's some that are going to be lending themselves to obvious second seasons, Loki, for instance. But there are other shows, Hawkeye, which may not, because maybe the next story is being told in another show, Echo. Whereas Moon Knight, on the other hand, maybe there's not going to be a second season of Moon Knight, but we'll see a first season of The Fist of Khonshu, maybe. So, but I think they're also kind of doing that. They're kind of hedging their bets, maybe when it comes to award seasons. Maybe they can work Moon Knight into, a limited series and they get awards for that, as opposed to maybe not getting awards because they think, we'll give it to them in their second season or something like that. So I think maybe there's a bit of a strategery there, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't count out Moon Knight just yet. I think we're going to see a lot more from him. I really kind of hope maybe there's, of course, been a lot of talk because we know we're getting Blade. We know that basically we've got, Black Knight has a little bit more of a supernatural touch to his abilities than maybe what they had in the comics. Maybe we're getting a Moon Knight, a new Midnight Suns, perhaps. I kind of hope that's, I don't know. We'll see. But that would be fun. I would like to see an on-screen Midnight Suns, even though if we're not going to get the proper group from the 90s, some sort of version of we need like a team of horror-based, supernatural-based heroes that isn't like including Doctor Strange. Yeah. So, I mean, we can bring Doc in if we want, kind of do a little bit of a, secret defender sort of thing like that. But yeah, I would like to see kind of like a supernatural theme team, and Moon Knight, I think, would be an excellent addition. So, but yes, we will definitely see what's going to be next for Mr. Spectre and Mr. Grant, and how they're going to end up dealing with Lockley. So, yeah, just love that because, in the original comics, Jake was kind of like, he was the tough guy, cab driver. He had the network of spies. They're all street people and other cabbies and, homeless people and whatever else. Anybody he could find was in his network. But in later iterations, Jake has become much more of the dangerous, psychotic persona, far more violent than Mark ever was. So some of those, I kind of like they're bringing a little bit of that back into it. So yeah, that could be fun. So very impressed with the Moon Knight finale. As a longtime fan of the comics and all the different iterations in there, really enjoyed their take on this. A few changes that were made, obviously, to the personas. But yeah, just really enjoyed how they structured the show. Of course, lots of good Egyptian sort of, exposure and, good, just some good presence for them as well. So I love the whole scene where, Layla's saving the bus full of people and the little girl asks her, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And she says, "Yes." Yeah, I think probably a lot of people just cheered at that little moment there. So yeah, again, so good exposure for a superhero of a different color. So enjoyed that for definitely. So, but yeah, so and of course I definitely want to see more of Lila. A very formidable sort of person, even before she got powers. So and like that, and I love the little Easter egg at the end of the episode. If you notice the name of the hospital, the Sienkiewicz psychiatric ward or psychiatric hospital, or whatnot. They apparently must have asked Bill Sienkiewicz for his permission on that, and he basically said, "I would be offended if you didn't." So, of course, he was a very famous Moon Knight artist. Did some wonderful art, still does to this day. So I'm glad that Bill's been a big fan of the show, and he gets a nice big shout out as well. So, Anywho, so I think that about wraps it up for our debut here on the Cereal Box Network. So glad you guys joined me. So glad for the comments there. I wholly recommend you guys like, subscribe, share, whatnot. Let's get all the people together here. Let's talk geek. I love doing that. So you guys have yourself a wonderful time. And one more thing before we go here, I've got to do one of our sponsors here is a very important charity here that I think you guys need to know about. So we'll wrap things up by showing you this here, and then we'll end our show here for this week. So you guys have a wonderful time, and I will see you next time on the Fanatic Forum. Take care. Bye-bye.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.